Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for Saturday, July 20th, 2013. Taking a look at what's going on out across the tropics. Not a lot. Yesterday, the Hurricane Center outlooked this area in the Gulf of Mexico now down to 0% for development. And even just looking at their graphical tropical weather outlook satellite shot, you can tell that much of the Atlantic basin is free and clear of any cloud cover, especially out in the deep tropics. Some convective activity scattered across the Gulf of Mexico and in the waters off of Florida. If we look at a satellite loop of that area, you can see that pretty clearly. No development chances here at all because conditions just aren't favorable. That's kind of the way it goes sometimes. You have clouds and showers down here, but no focusing mechanism. The upper level winds just aren't favorable, and this is just much more of a disorganized mess than anything else. If we broaden the perspective and look out across the Atlantic basin, a still shot of the tropics here, you can see lots of stable air as indicated and evidenced by all of this stratocumulus cloud cover. Really would look amazing if you're in a boat looking up at some of those clouds. And in the rest of the tropics here, nice and cloud free. A lot of this because of the time of year we're in. It's because of the Madden-Julian oscillation suppressing development of tropical convection and upward motion right now. And this is probably going to hold true for the next several days. And if we go look at the eastern Pacific, things out there nice and quiet as well. If you have any vacation plans to the Cabo San Lucas region or the Puerto Vallarta, Manzanillo, anywhere along the Mexican coastline and the Pacific side, things nice and quiet out there. Computer models not indicating much activity. And if anything were to develop, it's more than likely right now that it would just head on out to sea like everything else so far this season has. So excellent news there. Now, when will things change? Well, let's take a look at Africa. I think this holds the key, perhaps, to the rest of the month's activity. And pay particular attention here to this system right here, this cluster of clouds between the prime meridian, 0 degrees longitude, and about 10 degrees west. Let's drag that taskbar back where it belongs. And this will be the focus of the next several days in the computer models, especially the GFS trying to pick up on this and develop it. It's a tropical wave, an easterly wave of low pressure. It's about a day away from, as they say, splashing down in the ocean, coming off the coast of Africa, moving west here, and eventually coming off in the far eastern Atlantic between 10 and 20 degrees of west longitude. So what does this look like in the model? Well, let's take a look at the GFS. This is the 12Z run from today. So this is the most recent run, and we're looking at the 850 millibar chart, or about 5,000 feet in the atmosphere. And this is 24 hours from this morning. So this will be valid at roughly 8 a.m. Sunday, July 21st. And look what happens. Right there, this is the west coast of Africa. Right there, we've got this little pulse of energy coming off with a nice area of vorticity or spin indicated in the model. I think it's interesting that it's picking up on it like that. Zoom in just a little bit. And let's see what happens over the next several days. First, I wanted to outline something for you. This is a nice outline of the mid-level, low to mid-level ridge sitting over the Atlantic. And as you can tell, it covers the entire Atlantic Ocean, all the way over to the Western Gulf. A sprawling, completely spread out across the Atlantic, Bermuda, Azores high-pressure ridge. Very, very strong. And that's typical for this time of year. We talk about that as being one of the reasons why we don't have a lot of development right now, is high pressure is usually in control. So let's move on out to Monday morning and what happens with our system. There it is, coming off the coast just to the south and west of Dakar and Cape Verde. Right there, this is the Cape Verde Islands. And here's our little impulse of low pressure. Westerly winds coming in at 5,000 feet, helping to feed that monsoonal trough, that little shift in winds. And then we go out to 72 hours. This will be valid on Tuesday morning. And there's the system. And you can see it's pretty well outlined in the GFS model here as a sharp tropical wave in here with an area of vorticity or spin sitting along the axis, and that might hold together. Right here would be south of the Cape Verde Islands. Our strong ridge of high pressure sitting out over the Atlantic, keeping it moving on a westerly course. If we go on out 4 days, 96 hours, this is valid on Wednesday morning. Now the tropical wave really starting to gain some definition here. The GFS showing more of an increase in vorticity. You see a large area of high pressure really starting to build, getting thicker in the atmosphere over the central Atlantic. So this is not going to turn out to sea. It's just going to keep chugging west and head towards the islands. Almost a guarantee that whatever this system is, assuming it's really there. And the GFS, by the way, is pretty good at pinpointing tropical cyclogenesis, the birth of tropical cyclones. So I tend to believe it when it shows these systems, especially in the deep tropics out here, and especially now because we had Chantal, and that I think was a precursor of things to come. So let's keep moving through the graphics here. By day 5, and this is as far as we're going to look into the future. Beyond that time frame, it's just a little too random and chaotic to really worry about what's happening beyond day 5. Once in a while I'll show days 6 and 7 just to maybe get a guidepost on where something might be heading. But for now, notice the vorticity is getting even stronger. It has much more of a signature now, almost a curling up effect in the model field with the wind barbs, and it is south of this very prominent, stout, stacked up ridge of high pressure. It's like a mountain of air sitting out here. And think of this as contour lines. I'm drawing some on there myself just for effect, but that's what this is, a big old mountain of air. And this tropical system, whatever it would be at this point, is just moving right along underneath that. This map, by the way, valid, I guess it's next Thursday morning. Yep, Thursday morning. So it'll be interesting to see. Now this is the 5,000 foot level. Very good vorticity showing up. Remember I talked about in previous video blogs here the roundness of these systems. I want to see if they're round as opposed to oblong shape like this, or something like up here you see, I drew off the map, sorry, like this right here, this little impulse of energy off the east coast. The vorticity is stretched out over a longer area, whereas here it's much more focused, bundled energy, heat energy from the tropics. So let's go look at the 20,000 foot level or so, or the 500 millibar field. Yes, the tropical system, whatever it would be, does show up to the 500 millibar chart all the way up in the atmosphere. That means that it is reaching that vorticity higher in the atmosphere. It's not just a low-level swirl, and it's not very weak. It's showing up at the 500 millibar level, and it is south of this 500 millibar ridge right here, this huge mountain of air that extends up from the surface to 5,000 feet to the 500 millibar level at 18 to 20,000 feet. It's a nice deep layer ridge, and this system would just move right along underneath, probably headed towards the islands. If this is valid next Thursday, I would say by next Saturday at the earliest. So a week from today, folks here in the islands may have to deal with some kind of a tropical system that is currently sitting over the western portions of Africa now, about a week away from possibly impacting the islands. Isn't it remarkable that computer models can give us a look into the future like that to at least give you a heads up? Maybe this won't even materialize and it won't even be there. Maybe it will. If it is, and it were to strengthen enough and become a named storm, the next name is Dorian, if you're keeping track. We're probably getting ahead of ourselves on that, but you never know. We're getting towards the time of year that we're going to have to start watching that region of the Atlantic a little closer. And we had Chantal out there, which is, like I said, I think a harbinger of things to come. When you get development in the main development region, the deep tropics, in early July, like we did with Chantal, then you really have to pay attention to what could be happening later in the season. And that's what we want to do, is keep you abreast, give you a heads up. All right, have a good rest of your Saturday. Thanks for joining me and watching this video today. Again, I'm Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, my website. Always a great privilege and an honor to do these videos for Hurricane Pro and Hurricane HD. I'll be back with more for you tomorrow.